Welcome to the Mormon Medium Podcast, where we'll talk about spirituality, the paranormal, religion, and my journey in becoming a Mormon medium. I'm Nannette Ride. Thanks for listening. Now let's go have some fun.
Don't be afraid. Close your eyes. There's a moon overhead, but the sun will rise. Blood on our lips, such a poisonous bite. The sound of our hearts go bump, bump, bump in the night.
Welcome to the Mormon Medium Podcast. I'm Brad,
And I'm Nannette.
and today we are going to talk about some actual medium shit. So, not mediumship, but medium shit. There's this whole overwhelming concept of what people think a psychic medium does, right? And today, Nannette is going to talk to us a little bit about what exactly she does and how it might differ from some of that common conception out there as to what a medium does. So, Nan,
Yes, Brad.
let's talk about that.
Well, there's a lot of stigma around psychic mediums. You know, a lot of people have given it a bad name. But I think that with other kinds of jobs out there, you've got good and bad, good plumbers, bad plumbers, good doctors, bad doctors. You know, it's just people. And there's obviously going to be some people that choose to do bad things with psychic medium stuff. That has not been my experience. And I've been able to find some amazing, gifted psychic mediums that have helped become my mentors and teach me proper etiquette in this arena.
You've actually been really lucky. You've had a couple of amazing mentors who are really talented psychic mediums and big names, right?
There's actually two mentors that are psychic mediums I've turned to personally, and they're proof positive. They're really on the money. In the beginning, I had no idea how they could do it. And sometimes we're just talking, the two of us are just talking, and they'll pipe off with stuff about Brad.
Yes, there was actually that time where Jeanette said, "Hey, by the way, does Brad have a problem with his jaw? Are his teeth hurting?"
Yeah, she said that your lower left tooth, you were going to have some issues with it. And I assured her that your teeth were perfect, that you were immaculate about your mouth. You didn't even ever have bad breath. Like, there's no way.
I still wear my retainer to bed every night.
I know,
Are you
you're
kidding me?
super sexy.
I like that little teenage kid, man. You want to give me a kiss?
You do have perfect teeth, though. And lo and behold, 2 weeks later at your checkup,
Yeah, I had a cracked tooth on the lower left-hand side. She absolutely called it. That's what I'm talking about when we said we're going to go over some of that crazy psychic medium shit.
well, and that's not the only time. It's happened several times. And when I'm taking my classes with her, we're not even reading you. She just picks you up. So it's amazing.
Yeah, it really is, actually. I mean, some of the evidences that I have seen have been incredible. And I know that you have this amazing ability, and you've had a lot of people sit with you for readings. Can you talk a little bit about that? What is it like to sit with Nan for a reading?
You know, I'm pretty laid back. I really care about people, and I want to get to know people, but I tell them, don't tell me anything about you. I don't want to know anything about you. Don't want to know who you want to talk to. Let's just see who comes through, and then if your person doesn't come through, we'll ask them to come through.
So you're not sitting there going, okay, I see the color red. Does the color red mean something to you, Nan?
No, I am not vague.
Or did you have somebody die in your family? Well, no shit. Yes, I did. Because you get that with a lot of psychic mediums,
like
right?
that psychic medium in New York that we visited.
The one with dog shit on her steps.
Yeah, so we went and we had this appointment with this psychic medium in New York. We just thought it would be fun. And we go up the stairs, and apparently they let their dogs go to the bathroom up the stairs. And Brad accidentally stepped in some of it, because there's a lot.
And I walked through their apartment. With their dog's crap on my shoes. I felt really bad, but then I was like, wait a minute. You let your dogs crap on your front porch? Which was like in an apartment building, so it wasn't
With
really
carpet.
a porch. It was like stairs inside a building. Super weird. New York is a weird place, right? Like, a lot of cities are clean and beautiful and pristine, and there are only certain parts of New York that are clean, and then the rest of it is really dirty. They put all their trash on the streets, and there's
Hey, it's a big city, Brad.
it is. It's
Don't
just
judge.
it's just weird.
It's a beautiful city.
I don't get it. Some of it's beautiful.
We love New York. Part of New York, though, we didn't like getting scammed. So apparently the real psychic medium, her mom, had stepped out. So this girl pretended to be the psychic medium and sit and try to read the two of us. And she totally was messing it up, like telling us that we were already married when we weren't, and telling us that we were going to have a baby, and that is not possible.
Neither of us can
Neither
do
of
that.
us can do that.
So, yeah, it was definitely a scam. And then in the end, she's like, well, my mom's the actual medium, but I have gifts too. I just thought I would fill in while she was gone.
And then she tried to give us our money back, and we just said, if your integrity isn't worth more than that, just keep the money, and we left. But it
And
was
I
super
scraped
disappointing.
the poo off my shoe.
Yeah,
That was
outside
gross.
though you did.
Yeah.
It was gross and super disappointing, but kind of karma to have shit all over the place, right? Like,
I guess that's still just gross. Anyway,
it's just not good.
So yes, there are charlatans about. So how do you do a reading? So other than like you're like, hey, I don't want to know anything about you, but obviously there's going to be people who sit with you who you do have some knowledge of, right? Like I've done readings with you, and you know me pretty well.
Actually, you were probably my scariest reading, because I do know you so well, and I get in my head a lot. I doubt myself a lot. I have zero ego around this. This isn't something that I've ever wanted to do. I think it's something that has just been handed to me, and I've had to figure out why I'm supposed to do it. And I personally have gotten a lot of healing being able to talk to Corey and know that it's even a possibility. And without having a good medium to teach me that, I would have never learned how to do it myself. So I think it's an important and valuable tool to, show people, hey, this is what's possible, and you can do this too. You don't have to always come to me.
Which is pretty cool. Now, you did have some good evidences as you were going to some psychic mediums in the beginning, right?
I did.
Tell me about the cow. I think the
cow.
cow story is very relevant right now.
Okay, so Corey and his dad, they had a cow-calf operation, probably like 30 head of cows, mama cows, baby cows, if you don't understand what cow-calf operation is. And what they would do is each year we would keep a calf and put it in the corral, and we would feed it. And when it was big enough, it would be slaughtered and turned into food for our family. But it would be 5 families or 6 families or whatever, right? Whoever wanted to buy the meat. And this particular year, I was home and I was upstairs, so I could look right down into the corral from my bathroom at the farmhouse. And my father-in-law was out, and was just backing up his truck to get the cow. And all of a sudden, she keeled over and she died, like right then and there. I was like, yay, you go out on your own terms, girl. Yes. Good job.
And she was the sweetest cow. Like you would
She
go
used to
out
lick
there
your
to feed her,
hand.
and she would get excited and jump around and then come run over to the side of the corral, and she'd lick you and rub her head up against the corral so
So
you could
sweet.
scratch her ears. But yeah, Nan calls me and goes, Brad, you'll never guess what happened. I'm like, what? She goes, you know the cow, Ferdinand? Because we called her Ferdinand for a little while, even though
She was a girl.
A her. I'm like, yeah. She goes, she just laid over and died. I'm like, why? What was wrong? She goes, I don't know. I don't think anything was. She just died. And the sad thing about it is, at that point, I don't know, the meat inspector,
Yeah, the
whoever
brand
it was.
inspectors don't let you go and slaughter the cow because they don't know the cause of death. So it's not edible.
Yeah.
And so it's just a waste, which is really sad. But the following day, I had my psychic medium appointment, and I call her name's Cheryl, but I call her the police widow's psychic medium here in Utah. All the police widows go to her. She's amazing. She has a heart of gold. I swear she has wings. But I had my meeting with her, and as soon as I walked into the room, she looked at me with this puzzled look, and she goes, Corey's here with me, and he says he has the cow. Like this confused look. And I just busted out laughing because there's only 2 people that knew about that, and it was me and Corey's dad. The end. And now Brad. Yeah, I had told Brad, but he wasn't home. But it was crazy. So for Corey to have the cow was like, oh, wow. Okay. So if he has the cow, that means he has our dogs, he has our horses, he has our cats, like super comforting, really cool.
It really is. You know what? And that's a big deal. Like, we love our animals, and
Yes.
people love their animals. I mean, my first puppy ever, Toby, was just the sweetest little boy ever. And yeah, to know that he's around, romping around and happy is really cool.
But doesn't that make sense? We love our animals. We love our family. We love our friends. And when they pass to the other side, it just makes zero sense to me that we would not have them around us. And I mean, love goes on, right? Love is energy. We're energy. Their energy. It just makes sense. Super exciting. But yeah, you were the scariest reading I ever did because I knew so much about you. And then things came up. There's no way I would know. And I was shocked.
Yeah, it was actually a very cool reading. So, look, let's talk about what the protocol is. What is reading etiquette? And I know you call the person who you're reading is the sitter, right?
Yeah, the person that's the spirit is talking to, they're called the sitter. And I'm reading them. So
Because they just sit their ass over here
they
and
sit
listen.
down and they affirm anything that makes sense to them. Yes,
Because I remember I just set my ass down and you're like, okay.
exactly.
Which is like most of our marriage. I just sit my ass down. I'm like, okay,
You mind so well, babe.
thanks. You've got me trained. Okay, so with you, do you like ever? I know we're supposed to be talking about.
Can I answer your question?
I wish you would, because I'm rambling.
Okay. Can you look at me?
That's blue steel, by the way.
I knew that. Proper etiquette for a medium. A lot of times you can have spirit come through when you're out and about. Like if I'm getting a massage or, having my nails done or, spirits are around all the time. They're with us all the time. And what a psychic medium does is that they're kind of like a light in a really dark place. And the spirits know that, hey, I can talk to my Aunt Julie if I go and talk to her. I know she can hear me. And they'll just flock there because they want to be able to get their messages of love and hope through. And a lot of times it can be invasive.
I actually have an Aunt Julie.
She's not dead though. But it can be invasive, and sometimes psychic mediums can be invasive too. And so they mean well, but without proper training, you wouldn't know that it's not proper to go up and be like, hey, so your mom's with you today and she told me to tell you this. Personally had people do that meaning well. They come to me and tell me that when I am having a really bad day, when I'm really struggling, back in the days when I was really depressed and the messages they got across were wrong. And it completely just made it worse. And they didn't ask if I wanted the message. So that's the proper etiquette. If you get a message or I get a message for someone and they're not my sitter and they're not sitting in front of me purposefully to get a message, if I'm just out and about and I see things and I have a message, I'll go to someone and say, hey, did your mom pass? And they'll be like, yeah, why? Well, I have a message from her. Do you want it? And I let them decide. If some people say no, it scares the shit out of them. They don't want that.
I was going to say, do they look at you like, you are crazy, lady, go away?
Probably 1 in 20 do that. I've never had anybody tell me I'm crazy, but they've been like, no, I don't want to know. And I respect that. It's okay. I've been at places where I wouldn't want that. But most of the time, their eyes get really big and then they well up and they're like, yes, please. Like I was seeing my dental hygienist and her dad came over the top and I'm staring at him and I'm like, we are not doing this right now. My mouth is wide open and I've known this person for a really long time. No, she's going to think I'm nuts.
Seriously, you're like the only person I know who can talk while they're getting their teeth cleaned.
No,
it's the weirdest thing ever.
I waited. I stopped. But when you're speaking to spirit, it's in your mind. Like I told you before, spirit doesn't speak with your mouth. They speak with their mind. But I waited and then I asked her, I said to her, because I didn't know anything about her family or anything, but I said, did your dad pass? And she said, yeah, last year. I said, he has a message for you. Do you want it? And her eyes got big and she's like, yes, please. And by the time I got done, she was just sobbing. And she's like, I swear I could feel him, but I wasn't sure. And it was just an affirmation that he was right there and that he was on her right side. And he showed me everything from the cars he used to drive and work on to his very favorite plaid blazer that he used to wear. It was just amazing. And to me, it's a sacred space to stand and to be able to be that conduit, because that's all I am. All I'm doing is tuning the dial just a little bit to be able to hear what they say and let them know when everyone can do it themselves.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of people realize that they have gifts. You know, they go, oh, yeah, that's just weird. Or a lot of people you hear go, oh, yeah, I used to see or hear things when I was a child, but I haven't for a long time. It's like we forget, right? Or we're told by society that, oh, that's scary. Why would you do that?
Exactly. But you know what? If you used to have a bicep when you were a child, you're going to have one when you're an adult. So if you saw ghosts with your eyes when you were a child, you're going to still see them as an adult. You just have to fine tune that tuner or on that radio dial just a little tiny bit and know what that frequency is. So, you know, it's building those senses, your voyance, your clairs is what they call it, is just like building a bicep. You know, building any other muscle, you just practice. And all I've done is I've spent the time to practice because it had to make sense to me. Like I said before, I am just someone that has to have tangible evidence of everything. I am not somebody that just believes stuff.
So when you say I need tangible evidence, tell us a little bit about some of this evidence that you've been able to get in your readings.
Okay.
I just want to put this out there. First of all, don't give us any names. We don't want to know, because obviously
I won't.
that's a bit of etiquette as well, right?
Exactly. This is like HIPAA. I would never do that. I would never, divulge names or personal information at all. That's not my place and it's not my story. And when I'm doing a reading, like I said, it's a sacred place for me to sit, to be that conduit. But it's funny because this last month, I did 41 readings and they were really fun. And every single one taught me something, but I learned something. I started to see people's auras. I started to see their chakra colors. I could see gray if they were sick or there was a stress, or I could see black if cancer had been there or they had cancer. It was amazing how Spirit taught me just one person at a time. And like I even had several times where a spirit wouldn't come into my view. And that's my strongest sense. My clairvoyance or my sight is my strongest. And they wouldn't let me see them. And it was super frustrating, but they let me hear them the whole time. So obviously my clairaudience or my hearing needed some practice. And that's how you practice it. So they spoke to me the whole entire time and everything they said was right on the money. So it's always been really interesting what I'm going to learn every single time. So when I started, first I will look at their chakras because in my energy work, that's what I work with. So it kind of came naturally to be able to see the colors and I can tell their personality, what they're working on, if they have confidence issues, if they have gifts, if they're working on their gifts, and then I can give them some pointers. I also ask my spirit team what this person needs. It's kind of a game I started with Nannette. I'm the psychic medium for the psychic mediums. It's a game I play, like what does Nannette need? And it has been really fun to find that I'm right most of the time. So I started to do it with my sitters. And one of the funnest ones that I saw, it was a male that it was his very first reading. And I hope he hears this. I asked what he needed, and I saw him in a big parka. I saw him in ice. I saw him outside with a fishing pole, and I was confused because I'm like, why in the world would you want to be out in the cold? I mean, I live in St. George. I'd rather die than be in a parka out in the freezing cold. No way. But what he loves to do is ice fish. He's an ice fisherman. And it was exactly what he needed. And he hadn't been in a long time. And he was shocked. He was just like, how can you do this? I'm like, I don't know. I can't tell you how. I just go to that quiet place, that calm that you get to when you practice meditating. I go there and I ask questions to my spirit team. I know who my spirit guides are and they answer me. So that's how I get the information. And then when I do the psychic medium stuff, I ask my spirit guides just to bring in any spirits that have loving messages of hope and healing for this person that I'm sitting across from, and I say their name.
So it's kind of like a free-for-all for the spirits. They just kind of like, hey, here we are.
If you don't have them come through one at a time, it is. And I've a couple times forgot to say one at a time, and I will have like 5 or 6 all at once, and I don't know who's giving what information. But my sitter does. They'll be like, oh yeah, that was my grandpa. Oh, that's my grandma. Oh, that was my brother. Oh, like, and I'm like, it's too confusing to me. I'm still learning. And so I'm like, no, one at a time. And because I'm a clairvoyant, I can see what they're wearing. I can see what they look like. I can describe them. I can feel their personalities, see how they died, and ask them for any messages. I also ask them for evidence that only the sitter would know. And that's important to me because it not only affirms to the sitter that I'm actually talking to their loved one, but it lets me know that I'm not full of shit.
That's awesome. That's important, right?
Because I second guess myself all the time. I don't feel worthy of this.
So give me an example of something that has happened when you're like, oh, I find something that only they would know.
I had a sitter and I asked her mom to hand me something in my hand that only she would know. And her mom handed me a long chain with a locket. And inside the locket was a picture of this girl's father and grandfather who had both passed. And she showed me all of it. And there's no way I would know. And then she went and showed me the actual locket and the pictures, and they were exactly who I saw.
Wow.
It freaked me out.
That is super cool.
Yeah. I mean, the evidence
I haven't
is
heard that
real.
one before.
Oh, you haven't?
No. Thanks for sharing.
Oh, well, sometimes I'm floating on cloud 9. I can't tell you all the stuff I see and do.
That is so cool.
Yeah, it's really fun, but I expect the evidence and I ask for it. And, I wouldn't go to a psychic medium that didn't give me the evidence. And it was really important. Like, Corey having the cow, like, how the heck would she know that? Nobody would know that.
Right. Yeah, no one did know that.
No. It's crazy. I'm not really positive how it works. I just know that it does work. And I do know that each of us have these gifts. It's just a matter of learning how to use them.
How is this generally accepted? Like, how is it greeted when you're like, oh, by the way?
Oh, most people are freaked out. They usually are stunned and saying, wow, that was amazing. And they usually cry. I usually feel those emotions and try not to cry myself. I'm sensitive, so sometimes I lose it. But, usually it's just, it feels sacred between us and between the spirits in the room. And when I send the spirits back to them and I close my space, it's just a reverent place to sit. Like, imagine talking to your loved one. I mean, you've done it. It was a really neat place to sit after hearing from your grandmother who raised you, right? It's just, you just kind of sit in silence and kind of feel it and kind of let it sink in. It's really amazing.
Yeah, I agree 100%. It was amazing. And you're right. It is very spiritual, and it's one of those experiences where you go, whoa, wait a minute. I just had this experience, and I'm not sitting in a church. I'm not reading my scriptures. This is something completely outside of that and different and amazing and just wow.
This is one of the biggest reasons why I left the church, because I feel like this is our birthright.
Wait a minute. The name of this podcast is The Mormon Medium, but you just said you left the church.
I did. Yeah. I'm not practicing at all. I'm not a believing Mormon anymore. I've kind of just taken a spiritual journey, but my name is still on the records of the church. I haven't removed my name, so I'm still considered a Mormon. I just have taken a different journey.
And it's a great use of alliteration in the name.
Yes, absolutely. You're a dork.
It's true.
I know. Oh my gosh, Brad.
So anyway, I apologize for interrupting. So as you were saying,
I don't know what I was saying.
you're just like a paper member.
Yeah, my name is still on the records of the church, and I have not had them removed, and I haven't been excommunicated yet. I could be for talking out about stuff that I really shouldn't talk about. The church doesn't encourage this kind of stuff, but you know what? It's who
Is that because you're a woman?
I think it's because it's spiritual stuff that they don't want to talk about.
Well, I think a lot of people don't understand it. And so things that we don't understand make us very uncomfortable, right? And I think that's a big part of it is they're like, whoa, 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 whoa. This makes a lot of people uncomfortable. Even if we know about it, we're not going to talk about it because nobody wants to pay to play that way.
You know what? It's true. And it's all coming from a place of fear. But think about it. How many people actually sit down and try to understand it? How many people sit down and actually try to meditate and go to that quiet place and actually ask their spirit guide, are you there? Will you let me fill you? And your spirit guide is with you all the time. You have ancestors. You have angels that are with you all the time. And they literally are there at your request. Anytime you need them, you ask and you will see what you need. Like I've said, all you need to do, if you want to see signs, ask for the signs. I remember it was 2 years ago when we were first here in the house. There was a big snowstorm. You were in Dallas during that snowstorm.
Yes,
remember?
I was.
And I was super worried. And I asked Spirit to send me a sign that everything would be okay. And in the middle of a snowstorm, a giant golden eagle comes and lands on the top of our cypress tree. And I took a picture and sent it to you. Do you remember?
Yep, absolutely I do.
How? Have you seen a golden eagle since then?
Nope.
Exactly. It happens all the time. It's part of who we divinely are. And we're being cheated. Religion is cheating us out of knowing this part of us. This is a spiritual journey, not a religious journey. And we're all able to do these things. It's just a matter of taking the time to build that bicep or build those senses.
Yeah, I agree 100%, but I think that they can live and coexist. I think
Absolutely.
religion and spirituality can
Absolutely
play together in the same sandbox.
How magical would that be? To have both. And you should have that balance. That's my journey, and that's been my choices.
Well, and we all have our own journeys, and we appreciate you for yours. Your talents are amazing, and the fact that you are able to share them with others, and you're brave enough to do that, because I know that's scary when you were like, okay, look, I can do this. I'm going to let people know.
It was super scary. I didn't want everybody to think that Corey's death caused me to go crazy. It didn't. It broke me in a million pieces, and it made me stronger than I've ever been in my life. I know who I am. I know what my purpose is. And I love me. I love my body. I love my mind. And I love my soul. There isn't anything about me that I'm ashamed of. And if especially my kids could understand that, there wouldn't be the fear that they have around things too. Because this is kind of a scary subject. Yeah, my mom's a psychic medium. I think our son that's living here with us is learning that I know more than he wants me to know.
Absolutely true. Nan, thank you so much.
Hey, thank you.
Nan, we are about out of time, and so we need to wrap things up. What is your word of advice for the listeners?
I just want everyone to know that this is our birthright. I'm a psychic medium, and every one of us have these heavenly gifts, so don't be afraid to open your toolbox. And remember, we're all on a different journey to the same place. So be kind to each other, help each other along the journey, and see each other. Put our phones down and see each other. See our fellow man. It's the only way that we can be embraced in love and raise our consciousness and be unified.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for listening to The Mormon Medium. We'll catch you again on the other side of the veil.